And we're live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
All right, we're going to review the movie that's called Backrooms, directed by Kane Parsons. He's the one that basically, honestly, I didn't know this. Coming into this movie, all I knew was that one 4chan clip or a picture that came out like 20 years ago, and now they're making a movie on it. But apparently, Kane Parsons, the director, he actually made a series on Backrooms. It's like a 20-episode series or something. I watched the first few episodes. I didn't have time to watch it all, but it's really good. Like, you should watch it if you like this movie or you like Backrooms. You probably know about it already. But if not, It gives you a lot more context of what's going on.
I didn't know about that either. I thought they were just random skits that one guy originally did, and everybody just wanted to do their own flavor of it.
No, yeah, it's basically open source, so anyone can do anything with it. And this guy basically took the reins. So the main cast, we got, oh my gosh, Chiwetel Ejiofor. I don't know how
I'm always scared to pronounce his name, man.
Yeah, sorry, I butchered that.
It's the guy from 12 Years a Slave. Just say that.
Yes, and we got Renate Reinsve as the therapist, Ben Bennett as the 90s kid that we see in the movie, and Lakita Maxwellis as the 90s kid's girlfriend.
It must be the trend these days for have like people's names that you just cannot read or spell properly.
Yeah, so basically the movie is about a guy. He's in a midlife crisis type deal, and he's selling furniture in the furniture store, and he comes across this portal to another dimension, it seems like. And the whole movie is just basically going in the portal. We're trying to find what the hell's going on, and that's basically the plot.
Going on.
So,
Indeed.
Overall, I would say I liked it. I didn't love it. What do you reckon, Mitch?
Yeah, I'm still on the fence of whether I liked it or disliked it. Honestly, like it ticked off a lot of good boxes. You know, the performances were great. The plot setup was very intriguing. It had its very intense moments. Then there's a lot of ticked boxes where it was crossed, unfortunately, and that pretty much for me was in the second half of the film. Like, I'm one of the few people that doesn't know anything really about Backrooms except that they exist on YouTube generally, and there's been a bunch of different versions of it. You showed me one or two back in the day as well, Josh. I don't know if it was like the original or if it was like another side project that someone else did. But yeah, going into this film, I didn't really know what they were going to do with the concept, what direction they were going to take. And I can say it is a very beautifully unsettling film. It's you could easily mistake it for an actual art museum, abstract art museum of some sort, you know, just the way they lay out some of these rooms and whatnot. But in terms of walking out of the cinema, what I felt was, I suppose, for the short version, just underwhelmed, I guess, overall, by my experience. It's because one, you got a concept that is filled with questions. You know, like, how does this work? What makes it work? How do other certain people interact with this world? Versus where a lot of people presume it's more psychological based instead of it being an actual physical world. So all these questions get run off, and unfortunately, in the makeshift of it being a film, the general consensus is some of those questions need to be answered, but we don't really get any answers. We just get more questions upon other questions, you can get away with it in YouTube format, right? Because 9 times out of 10, it's treated like a skit. It's treated like a little thing to make you creep out or have a jump scare now and then, and that's it. It's filled with wondrous questions that usually communities will gather their band together and come up with their own presumptions of what they're experiencing. Um, for me, this film needed to have some answers, and we get them, but it's not the answers that we want, right? It's still very vague and one-sided of an argument. So, yeah, leaving the cinema, I just felt empty in terms of like there was a void that wasn't filled in terms of my experience and my enjoyment of this film. And so that all said, I feel like my personal thought in this film is probably tipping more on the side of not liking it more than liking it. That's a bit of a spill, so I'll let you take over for a little while, Josh.
Yeah, I would say I liked it more than I disliked it, but I agree. One of the major negatives is the fact that we like movies. I like movies that after the movie you can think about it. I almost think of it like in mathematics, where if they give you an equation and they give you enough answers to solve the equation, then you can solve it yourself. But if you're given an equation where you don't get enough to solve it, then you're kind of like, oh, what do I do with this? It's kind of like this movie where they give you like a few answers here and there, but they leave too much open to where you can't really give your own. In my opinion, you can't really give your own theories, especially because we haven't seen the Backrooms TV show, and we shouldn't have to. We come in here watching a movie. We should be able to know enough by the end of the movie to be like, okay, so they left a little bit of interpretation, but no, this one they left too much out there that's not explained. So it's like, I can't really discuss it because it's like anyone's theory's plausible type thing of what happened.
Yeah. To which I don't agree with in terms of film. I don't agree that the film's director or creator should say it's however you want to interpret it. We've spoken about this a lot in a lot of other reviews. I don't agree with that philosophy in film because it leads a lot of creationism to be very lazy. Because what that tells me is the director had no idea what they were really doing in the first place. So they really couldn't come up with their own answer. So they're just basically saying, anybody can answer the question, So in terms of this, I feel like there's so much stuff in the lore of it now that it does need to have its cleared answers. Otherwise, you've got the one side like me who know nothing about it, still know nothing about it, and then you've got the other side of it that have followed these videos to the letter, and they're going to be like, oh, that's technically not correct because such and such and such and such. So you need to have a straight answer of what you're trying to tell your audience, and this film doesn't do that.
Yeah, I feel like a good way to do it is the director or writer knows what the answer is, and but it kind of leaves it for the person to kind of guess it themselves. That they leave enough in the movie for you to guess what the movie's about. I reckon that.
Yeah, but the thing is, I thought over this film because we saw it last night, and thinking of what my experience of it was. But it just leaves me with a contradiction in my theory, right? So I'm presuming pretty much the whole film was in. His name is so hard to pronounce. I have to apologize.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Chiwetel. I think it's Chiwetel. I'm just going to say Chiwetel, and I apologize if I butchered his name. I feel like the entirety of the film, aside from the therapist, was all kind of in his head. And it's a loose opinion. Like, obviously, there was characters involved, like, visited and left. But I feel like even his own furniture store, the place of what technically is his whole existence now, I feel like even that was deliberately or metaphorically trying to tell you that this is also part of his made up reality. Because looking back at it, there was so many times when we visit his store before he goes into what we believe is the portal, And I'm looking at the way the furniture's laid out. I'm looking at the expanse of the room versus what he's actually got in terms of items for sale. And that in itself always left me feeling this is weird. Like there's no space awareness sort of thing.
It's
and
an
then we go
empty.
into the portal.
Yeah. You're saying
And
it's
then
an
we go into the
empty.
portal world.
Yeah, sorry, you keep going.
And then we go into the portal world, and it's literally an over embellishment of what we're kind of already seeing, which is abstract, inanimate objects placed in certain positions and puzzled shapes and all that stuff. It's very abstract and art appearance. It feels like the shopping mall was like the first layer of this dimension, and then when it goes into the portal, that's the second layer, and then as we do get explained, the further you go into it, the more layered, the less there is, the more broken down this world is, because it's kind of, I thought the metaphor of your memory, and how if I asked you to look back to like your time in high school, you can remember things, but those details that make it a vivid picture, they're not there anymore. So that was my interpretation of this portal thing. Was like the deeper you go into it, it's like he's rewinding his memories, or oppressed memories, that he's traumatized memories that he's either blocked out or he can't remember or he can't forget. So it's just there, but it's not a clear picture, right? So it's fragmented, and that's why we have certain things in this film eventually that chairs don't look right. Abstract offices don't look right. There's shapes and all that obviously are meant to put you on edge and unsettle you, because it's just like, in terms of like, if you're going to compare it to how a house is built, it's just architecturally incorrect. So to me, the architectural incorrections and all stuff, or even as a gamer would probably say, like an object's clipping the wall and all stuff, that to me is his mind breaking down in terms of the memory of what he viscerally remembers and all that stuff. But to what end all this has for this film, it's not really clear. I get that there's a certain traumatic experience in this man's life, just what I tell you, that has triggered this whole event and all that stuff. But to me, it's just not enough clarity, or even, I guess for lack of a better word, enough dumb exposition answers for me, the audience member, to be, okay, I get it. I'm invested or whatever, to know where this movie's going to take us. And that to me is the significant point of where this film loses me. It's just in its final execution, because it had a really intriguing build-up, and I was on edge when we first experienced this portal world, because I know a little about it to know that at every corner there's going to be some kind of unsettling image or something that's going to jump scare you. So I was always waiting and anticipating that. But then it gets to about the second half of this film, and I've lost all of that edge. You know what I mean? And I don't even know what triggered it, but I've just either lost my interest or my investment in the film. And I'm just kind of waiting for it now to finish up.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, the first half of the film was really good. The pacing was more of a slow burn and great. And then, by the way, we're doing spoilers, so I'm just going to, at the time where...
I've been trying my best to avoid spoilers.
Let's avoid spoilers for now, actually. Then
cool.
After halfway, probably 3/4 through the film, it speeds up a lot, and it loses its slow burn, and it changes. It takes a left turn. It goes from an eerie horror movie more to like a traditional horror movie. That's what.
And it because of that, it loses its magic. It's
yes.
Like spoilers. The main character.
No. Well, not yet.
Not yet. Sorry.
You're trying so hard. You keep trying. We'll get there.
I thought you said we were allowed to. Okay, cool.
No, I changed my mind.
Fuck. Okay.
Because you tried so hard, and you got so far by the end.
Was. Yeah, it does. Like this film, it doesn't really matter.
Well, let's just wrap up the non-spoiler section, and then we'll go straight into this.
Oh my god, are you literally trying to like gaslight me? Okay. Okay.
No. We'll wrap it up as if. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just yeah, we'll wrap it up.
Okay, so now we're spoiler free.
No, we're going to wrap up the non spoiler section. Like, yeah,
That's what I meant. My word choice is wrong. So we are now given spoilers.
yes, spoiler time.
Yay, thank you.
Because it's too hard to not talk about spoilers.
Right. So, yeah. So at midway point, the main character, Chiwetel, gets pretty much his employees killed. Unintentionally, of course. And then basically the lead character role switches to his therapist, whose actual name in the film is, I can't remember because I don't think she ever really gets named. She's just like obviously the therapist. And she gets dragged into it, and her character development is probably the weakest point in the film because we get glimpses of some kind of childhood trauma with her involving with her mother. And we get this when she's there to watch her house, her old childhood house, get demolished and all this stuff. And the little moments in her life that where she actually was happy with her mother versus the traumatic side of it when her mother, I'm assuming, had paranoia, schizophrenia, or some form of Alzheimer's maybe later in her life. And so she was put in a mental asylum. That's about as much understanding we have of this character in terms of any backlot story development. The rest of it is just we are now seeing the story through her point of view. And it's kind of where the film loses me. She's great. I don't really know who she is, but she does a great performance, but she doesn't have any real thing to work with, so it turns into a very mundane film of just following her around this maze, which we've already experienced, and manages to talk away through a scenario, and she basically has to survive these manifestations of Chiwetel's mind. And again, it's like, how is she experiencing this? When does it no longer be his experience versus becoming her experience and all that other lore fundamental stuff that needs to be explained a little bit for me to get the gist of why all this is happening to him but not her, and then behind all this we've got this kind of shady cover-up corporation that were responsible for this portal, not responsible for this portal. It's unclear, but it began with them, and they've been observing activity since the beginning. But there hasn't been any activity until Chiwetel's character finds the portal doorway, and so we get a little explanation, but nothing, because it's again a character who's like, "Oh, I've been experiencing and waiting for answers myself. Do you have any answers for me? Can you tell me anything?" And I'm watching this as an audience member. Can you tell me some fucking answers, please? But we don't get that, man. We just get people just asking each other what's going on, and no one really has a clear answer. Chiwetel kind of had an answer, but it was more about just like nourishing himself in his own, I guess, comfort zone, because he basically, I guess he goes crazy, but not really goes crazy. He just prefers to be in this backroom world versus the real world, because it's obviously a means of him not being able to deal with his problems, which is his alcoholism, which is his responsibility and the weight on his shoulders for what happened with his marriage. So again, it's a metaphor of just denial and like placing these kind of traumatic obstacle blocks, just basically not dealing with your shit. And it pretty much gets developed into this portal room. I don't know. I'm not rambling here, man. I'm really rambling.
No, yeah, I don't like
how the film left me.
Yeah, the part where it started slowing down is when the two characters die, and then all of a sudden he goes crazy. I really wanted to see his descent into madness. It went straight from he gets stuck in there to now he's crazy all of a sudden.
Curious. Yeah, now he's crazy. Yeah, and like it feels like there was a huge time jump.
Yeah, huge.
Between that moment,
well, there was. It was like weeks or months. We don't know.
Yeah, see, again, it's unclear because he's been down there, and apparently you can survive by eating these manifestations. because it looks like they're made of rice. I don't.
Yeah, I wanted to see the descent into madness, and maybe we can know a bit more what's going on by that descent. But instead, we just got basically he goes in with the kids to find a bit more what's going on. And then all of a sudden, it's been weeks. The therapist wants to go in and check out what's going on, and then she gets captured, and he's crazy. It's like, oh man, well, that was just a big
Yeah, but she's able to talk her way through it, and then we get to see the real evil entity, which is this manifestation of Chiwetel's character, and
I think his name's Clark. I think it's Clark.
Clark. Yeah, well, that's the name of the store, right? So that would make sense. Clark. We'll call him Clark because I'm butchering his name. Apologies.
Pirate Clark.
Pirate Clark. So again, it's like this recreation of his own reality, a manifestation of his own reality, right? So the main antagonist of this film is this giant, oversized pirate version of himself with a deformed face, of course, and all that, which at times is a bit unsettling, but not overly terrifying if it has to be some kind of antagonist. I felt more bad for the creature because it felt like that, again, was an extension of Clark's grief and Clark's residual hatred towards his wife and all that stuff. And now because it's manifested into this thing, it's just like in complete agony and hate. So
yeah, he's in agony. He's honestly more in agony than anything. Yeah. He seems like, help me, help.
That's what it seems like. Yeah, he wasn't so much chasing these people to kill them, but it was like chasing them to like, please help me, kill me, or something like that. That's what it felt like, anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, I really didn't like that chase scene. It became more of it stopped being scary. It became more of a monster chase scene. Yeah, I didn't like that at all. And he just completely pivoted from what we kind of wanted, was that vibe, where the first hour of the movie had a great vibe. It gave that unique feeling that I think they were going for. And then it just
lost its wheels. I told you this after we watched it last night, that I was finding myself comparing it to another psychological sci-fi horror called Annihilation from a couple of years ago. And they both kind of deal with similar themes of like refraction and, an altering of reality and all this stuff, and questioning your own existence. And I compare it because it's an example of when there's a million questions that need to be answered in a film, and it does so by the end of the film. Not thoroughly. It doesn't give you all the answers, but it gives you enough to understand what this thing is. It's called the Shimmer in Annihilation. What this thing is and what it's doing, why it's here, is it evil, is it not evil? Enough and a little vagueness for us to give us some closure by the end of the film. This film doesn't do that at all. There's no such thing as it doesn't feel a climatic ending at all. It feels, if anything, a chapter for more to come. Only because I'm not given the answers on this chapter, I don't care too much for any more chapters. That's how it left me feeling. Not that I hated the film, it's just narratively there's beats missing that needed to be in the film. And that's why I'm falling more into the not liking it. Long story short, it's not exactly a film I would say on a weekend, hey, let's put Backrooms on to be entertained. Maybe on a performance level, but that's about it.
Yeah, like the main dislikes, again, was just the pacing was off the last half of the film, or 3/4 of the film. And for me, I wasn't happy with how Clark's kind of journey ended. I wasn't happy with that at all. But speaking about the likes, like the world building was good. That was great. Some of the weird camera angles they used too. They used some weird camera angles. You just like, whoa, it just kind of put you off guard a little bit.
Yeah, there's some sequences that felt identical to the original found footage treatment, and obviously there's a big sequence where it is found footage,
and it was good. That was good too. I love that. Honestly, I think because found footage is kind of overused, and they've used it a lot. But they kept it fresh in this one, where when he's running through all these different rooms, and then he goes into one room and you see this weird head that's poking out of the wall that has the same texture as the wall, but it's great because you can't really see it that much because it's found footage, but you know there's something weird going on there. And then you see
Gives
the pipes.
that grainy old look.
Yeah, and then you see the pipes with the water coming out and puddles and stuff. The found footage, like, yeah, it was done great. It was just, it was very eerie.
The opening sequence was from the point of view of that guy in the suit, and every time he's looking left and looking right, in my mind, I'm like, oh god, there's gonna be something around there when he looks left and right again. I know it, but it never happens, and that's not disappointment, but it's me anticipating and having that feeling of like, God, at any corner there's gonna be a jump scare. At any corner there's gonna be something eerie that comes out, and because it doesn't give it to you, it makes you, it forces you to wait for it, and because of that, you're feeling even more on edge for a longer period of time. And that's the first half of the film, because that setup led me to believe into something's going to have a big follow through, and then the halfway point, I'm like, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? It's not going to happen, isn't it? It's not happening.
You're waiting for the jump scare.
Always. I'm always waiting for the jump scare, man. Even though I know a lot of recent horror films don't use that.
There wasn't that many jump scare. There was a couple.
It wasn't. But it still gives me that feeling, and I'm like, just like, because I jump scare very easily, I'm just like, here it comes. I'm just looking off center of the screen. It's like, it's coming, and it doesn't happen. Oh, yeah. I can't relax. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I know the second I relax, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna freak out. It's like the film doesn't scare me traumatically. Like, I walk out of the film, I've forgotten about it. But like in that moment where like you're invested on the screen and then it happens, it's like playing that mouse game. You know, the mouse because you're focused and focused and focused, and then that stupid picture shows up. It's not that I'm scared. It's just like that immediate reflex reaction. It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
I hate that feeling.
Well, yeah, the concept had I really like the concepts of, it's kind of, they don't really tell us the concept, but we know enough to know it's like reinterpreted copies of your minds. And there was that one scene where the camera was going down floor by floor. This is based more on, I think, the therapist's house or the therapist's mind, where it starts on the top floor. The room looks how it did originally, basically. Then as the camera pans down, it starts looking less and less and less like the house to the bottom, where it's just like an empty room with like a freaking weird looking dark archway. And I think what that shows is that there's not just one copy, there's multiple copies. We just don't get to see it. So it's like memories, trying to make memories, like when you photocopy a memory, it's going to be worse than the previous one, and then you try and make a memory of a memory, it becomes worse and worse and worse. So they played with that theme, and I like that. I'm going to say I cheated a little bit, and I was watching some YouTube videos on Backrooms. I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. No. That part I came up with myself. There's one part that apparently Clark, there's a big thing going around that apparently Clark that we see going crazy isn't actually him. It's another version. It's what do you call it? A memory version or a crazy version of him. But again, they don't tell us. They don't really let us know that if it is, because there's no real signs of that being true, and it'll be really cheap to be like, oh, that's the case, but there's no signs. You've got to be a hyper nerd that has looked at every single series and post on 4chan to find that out or something.
Well, the only thing I can think of is like the stop sign, which in the Portal world is flipped, right? Instead of reading stop, it says pots. You know, so it's kind of, again, wink, wink. It's a mirrored world, right? Because that's what the stop sign would look like in a mirror. I'm guessing that's the only hint you could probably get if that same effect works with everything. You know, because majority of the rooms are filled with furniture, so you can't really tell if it's a left side or a right side. But like, maybe if you watch the film eventually on a second viewing, you'll probably notice like there's certain characters, mainly the humanoid characters that are wearing clothing with maybe like a wristwatch or something. I don't know. You might notice there's a flip side to them. Who knows? I don't know how creative the director got with that kind of thing, and that's just a giant jump of assumption as a means to maybe that's a clue into finding out if Clark is a mirrored version of himself or something. I don't know. Yeah.
How about the ending? So we got the ending. The therapist basically makes it out. I don't know, like
Does she? I don't think she does.
you think maybe she makes it out, but then she has an interview, or she gets kidnapped by the scientists, and they kind of trying to get answers off her, and we're trying to get answers off them.
She's trying to get answers off them, and no one's leaving answers. Like, she's trying to ask, where are we? Where are we? Where are we? And they're not giving her a straight answer. And because of that, she refuses to give them a straight answer. So I got the kind of gist they were all trapped in there. And even if they do try to escape, they're not really escaping to the real world. It's just, again, another layer, like you were saying. Like, the closer you get to the real world, the more realistic it looks. So my question is, how can you differentiate the real world from the realistic real world, you know? So, I don't know. Maybe it's a Silent Hill rule. Once you're in Silent Hill, there's no returning from Silent Hill. That theory shoots itself in the head because, you know, as we did see, Clark did leave and come back several times to visit his therapist and to recruit his victims, quote unquote, the 90s kid and his girlfriend. So
and
maybe that wasn't real. I don't know.
And there's apparently multiple doors, but we don't get to see any of them. We only get to see the one door that Clark goes through. But like the scientists, they have to go through a door or something, right? So what we don't get to see any of that.
You can only presume that there's different ways to enter this world, right?
They kind of say that. They say that towards the end or something, like there's multiple ways, multiple doorways, and there's more being made, and it's kind of a worrying thing.
And they kept referencing coming soon, that residential commercial building, right? I presumed that whoever was planning to build that, because there's a lot of talk about architecture in this, and even Clark's character is a failed architecture, right? I was going to presume that whoever was intending to build that infrastructure was the original Grand Wizard of this whole portal thing. Because what do we see generally when we're in that world is offices, empty offices, you know, empty, hollow, random-shaped office buildings. So yeah, it's like as if that itself was a memory of an original person, probably before Clark. Because it doesn't always look like a furniture store. That there's furniture mixed in with like an office, right? So is it manifestations splicing together? Because at the very end, the therapist's old house gets spliced into this world too, right? So it's kind of like a photocopier printing out page by page by page, but it's not the one person's work; it's multiple people's works.
Yeah,
you know? So it all just gets blended and molded together. I don't know.
There's another confusing theory, man. In the beginning, when you saw the those people in the hazmat suits walking around, and you saw furniture everywhere there as well. But didn't you say that you think maybe the furniture, when Clark walks in, he sees the furniture, then it's maybe in his mind. But the thing is,
so it was already there.
Though it was already there when the hazmat suits were there. So So then was it Clark's mind?
I guess not. It's either that or what we really saw the entire time. What we saw of Clark from the very beginning of the film wasn't the real Clark. That itself was just another printed page. You know, and like as it shows with the therapist, layer upon layer upon layer, it starts to lose itself. And that kind of goes back to my theory of, from the very beginning, it's someone stuck in that world. Because, like I said, the furniture store, I probably got OCD for like symmetrical spacing. And so when I see that furniture store that's meant to be the real one, the spacing versus the size of the building complex.
It gives
was
that eerie
always
feeling.
off.
It's like you may as well be in the back
Exactly.
rooms while you're in that
Yeah,
room.
that's what I'm saying. Maybe he already was in the back rooms in that was like the first layer of it, you know?
Yeah.
Because like there's those like the chairs, the way they're spaced out, it's just, like it's overly proportional to like what he's got in the warehouse. You know, it's just like
Oh
that's
yeah.
just odd.
And the light. I remember he calls in the electrician to open the cabinet, and they find 3 switches at the bottom. I'm still wondering what the hell is that about.
Yeah, I figured that would have been what started it all, but as the electrician said, it looks like someone's just slapped them on there. It doesn't need to be there, which I think is kind of a foreshadowing of, you know, the back rooms itself, because each room you go into, it's just random, right? It looks like someone's just slapped shit in there or scrunched with a piece of paper, and that's become the abstract piece of art. So again, it's no answers, man. It's interpretation and your personal preference, but I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that. The narrative needs to have an answer of what it was trying to suggest, and maybe later down the track they'll finally have a clear answer for us. I don't know.
Or maybe we have to watch it again, because I feel like there might have been answers in there, but it's so small and you have to catch it. Like I remember Clark in the beginning. The power kept turning off. Wait. Wasn't he like?
Whilst he was watching TV.
Yeah. Okay. The power was off, and wasn't he complaining about the power or something like that? Yeah. I remember he was complaining about the power. Like the power bill was too high. So it makes me think maybe the back rooms was always open, because that's what the power was going to, that they didn't know about, was the
Most
back
definitely.
rooms. So that means the power was on there already.
But again, how does that work? How does that receive as an electrical bill? Like,
It's connected to the building, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah.
But like, you know, it's a weird abstract world. I just presume if you were to remove one of those pieces on the ceiling, that like there'd be nothing in there. Like there wouldn't be any copper wiring or anything. You know. Like,
Or if you look around the building, you wouldn't see this man's. If you look around the building, there wouldn't be some like unknown humongous building next to it. It's basically invisible.
Yeah, and there was some points when they were venturing around where they're in a room, and it looked like there was a glass window, and it looked like there was an outside, you know, with like plants and trees and all that. So it's like it's just a giant mind fuck, honestly. Bottom line.
And like I was saying, they don't give us enough to work with. It leaves too much open to interpretation, where we're not given enough answers to be able to direct one answer. There's too much open.
I don't agree with it.
Which sucks.
Just don't agree with that. A lot of directors do it these days, especially that bloody pretentious schmuck Ari Aster. And to me, it's just lazy writing 101. So that's my final 2 cents on it, bro. Really.
Yeah, well, also, yeah. So if you're gonna watch, you're watching the spoiler section, ladies and gentlemen, but go watch Obsession. That was probably the best, a better movie. It's probably still on, and once you watch that, then you could probably watch this one. But I don't know. I don't know if this movie's worth it. I liked it because I'm kind of intrigued. I like the theme of it, and I like thinking about it, even though it's kind of annoying because like they don't give us enough answers.
I'm not going to tell anyone to not watch it. You know, you might love it. You might find something that we didn't. So I would say just go see it for yourself and come to your own opinion on it, whether you liked it or not. Overall, I did not like it as much as I wanted to. So yeah.
And I slightly liked it more, but So there was that scene in the therapist's office. I thought the writing was kind of weird. That second time or third time he's in the therapist's meeting, and he's like, "Oh, you're gaslighting me." It's like, "Oh, I'm crazy," and then he just like walks out. He's kind of like a little he acts like a baby. I don't know. I thought it was kind of
that to me. I interpreted that as his denial of the real world. She's pretty much the last tether that's trying to bring him back to reality, right? And he just doesn't want it. He doesn't want the responsibility. He doesn't want to take blame for any wrongs he's done with his wife backstory. Because, yeah, he's always been reminded of something that he did with her. And it's always, I was paying the bills. I was doing this. She had to get off her fat ass. They kind of repeated it. And so that last therapy session, I think, was like his last grasp on reality. And she indirectly pushed him away. Like, he found more comfort being in that portal world than he did in the real world. It was his escape room, so to speak. That to me, I liked.
Yeah, the pacing was a bit off, but yeah, I like that too.
Well, to me, that was the last decent part of the film, because shortly after that, it's the whole found footage with the 90s grunge kids and all that stuff, and straight up to that point, the film kind of lost me. And I remember it kind of goes to black for a little while.
Yeah.
I remember turning to you guys, is that really going to be in the film? And
in no way. Yeah.
In hindsight, honestly, I probably would have preferred if the film ended there, only because of what we got afterwards.
Yeah, we didn't really get too much. It
still would have been lackluster, but to me, it would have been a better ending to the one we got, which was like another 30, 40 minutes of unfilled void, for lack of a better word.
I'm more like 15. Honestly, it was like 15 minutes after that. So basically,
it felt longer, but you're probably right.
Yeah, she had a conversation, and then in the end,
she's just trying to find him.
Then she becomes a memory, or a memory is imprinted in that world of her. But who cares? Like, that doesn't prove anything. And what happened to the real her? No one knows what happened to the real her.
I was kind of hoping she would be smart enough to be able to outwork it, because of her psychological mind. I thought maybe she'd be able to be more grounded in reality about everything. And I kind of got that when she's faced with him. She's tied up to the chin at the dinner table.
That was a good scene.
She managed not so much outsmart him, but she worked him. Mm-hmm. You know what? She wasn't feeding into his delusion. She told him straight up what he needed to hear, which was harden the fuck up, basically. Deal with your own shit. And it kind of snaps him out of it.
Yes.
And because it snaps him out of it, it's like his warped portal turned on him, because his pirate manifestation came and basically ate him.
Yeah, that annoyed me, man. I was like, okay, so he's changing his ways. Let's see where this movie goes now. But no, he gets his neck bitten off by the pirate, and then there's a pirate chase. That kind of just that took it away. It's like, I want to know what happened. Like, okay, cool. He changed his ways, and then what? Then they can work with that. But no, he gets killed. It was kind of like we almost get a nice, satisfying answer, and then he kind of gets ruined.
He's bitten off.
Yeah,
I lost it. I lost that part. And like, even the chase wasn't really that intense. Like, the whole just passively walking around these empty corridors, that was more unsettling than the actual entity chasing what is now the main character. Because she's never really in any situation that she's actually in peril, except maybe one when she like twists her ankle. But again, that's just like stereotypical slasher 101. The main character getting away, cripples herself, so she's slower, and it allows the entity to catch up to us. It's like, oh, really? Didn't need that.
What would have made a better movie for me would be if they got rid of the monsters, and the real monster was Clark and his kind of and how he kind of goes into his craziness. And use that as the tether, and have no monsters. It's all psychological. And then they go into the rooms, in the room of the room, and blah, blah, blah. And then it messes with your mind. They could have used that more instead of the monster thing.
I mean, sorry if I'm yawning. It's been a long day. That is kind of what they did. But, like, Clark's psychological trauma was manifested in a monster. It's like they needed to have the face of a monster for this film to work. And I don't agree with it.
Well, they could have used she kept her trauma was her mother. Well, at least have her mother as her psychological trauma, and have her mum as like she looked crazy anyway. Have her in a wheelchair going, chasing her or something.
That's kind of what I was waiting for to happen. I was waiting for like her trauma, or whatever you want to call it, to start like overriding his trauma. or have them like kind of in the same vicinity, but it doesn't happen. She's just riding his roller coaster.
Yeah, it's his roller coaster. Where's her roller coaster? And that's another. Yeah, well, it's not explained. It's all Clark's mind, but nobody else's mind is in it. I'm guessing that from I watched a few episodes of the series, and from what I got is that when you wear the hazmat suit, you're not really affected by that, by the whatever's going on. So maybe the people in the hazmat suit, maybe their memories weren't imprinted, but if you go in there without a hazmat suit, then your memories start being imprinted. That's kind of,
to me, that goes more on the lines of like biochemical shit instead of actually being psychological, right? Because what the hell would a hazmat suit do if it's all psychological?
But what were they wearing, the hazmat suit in the they weren't sure what was in there. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's government experiment stuff.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're playing Among Us. I don't know. Maybe they're doing a recreation of Back to the Future. I don't know. My name is Darth Vader.
And Clark,
I honestly don't. Yeah, you go.
And Clark finds the little baggie with all the people's badges in that, and that doesn't go anywhere. Really, it only shows us there are scientists, but we knew that. Yeah. Like, it's like in a video when you're playing a video game and you come across, it's like almost an Easter egg.
Easter egg.
But it doesn't add to the movie at all. Like there's things that just don't add to the movie at all, like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I completely forgot about that little duffel bag. I don't really, honestly, I don't really have much else to say about the film.
Yeah, neither. I wish I did though. I wish we had enough answers where we could like theory craft a few more things, but it sucks because I feel like
we kind of already did.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I was convinced that it was never the real world. It was just the beginning of Clark's descent, and I'm basing purely on that, on just how that the furniture store is laid out. Because every time I saw that, my OCD was kicking in. I was like, move that bed closer there, move that chair there, tighten that area.
How about the seagull? We saw a couple of seagulls in it, and I don't know what
seagulls.
Maybe it was like a pirate seagull, but that wouldn't have mattered.
Again, it doesn't make sense because in the very beginning,
and he hears seagulls too. And he hears seagulls.
I presume that one of these entrances into the Backrooms is right by the ocean, and so because we see a flag. Right?
We guess.
So maybe another entrance is right by the ocean, and seagulls somehow fly in, stuck in there. I don't know.
We don't know, but like, why have it? Like you said, whenever you're making a movie or whatever, you want everything to like mean something. You can't have something that just pops out of nowhere. And I feel like I'm kind of being gaslit by like, oh, well, you just didn't watch the movie. You just didn't pay enough attention. Actually, they have all the answers you need. But I swear I was freaking glued to that bloody screen, and even you're confused, and you know
that it's not confusion. Like if the answers are there to be seen, then the film did a poor. Oh god, my English is breaking down. The film didn't execute itself well enough in clarity, right? It's like, how do I describe it? You gotta treat it like a language, right? It can be easily misinterpreted or spoken wrongly, and I feel like this film's narrative was spoken wrongly in what it was trying to convey. Convey, that's the word I'm looking for. It just didn't convey that stuff if it's in the film clear enough to its audience. Yeah, that's how I'm going to word it, and that's what I'm going to stick with.
Oh yeah, then we have that little scene where I think the kids find Clark near a wall, and the wall had symbols on it, and I forgot what those symbols said, but they were supposed to mean something. It seemed like
interpreted it. I don't know if it was with the kids or when the therapist was venturing in, but it was like someone written on the wall in a text or something. I just presumed that was Clark trying to amplify what he thought was the rules of this place or something, or what he knows. I didn't actually get to read most of it on the wall because it was very, very quickly passed on. I kind of thought we were going to go back to it at some point, but we don't.
Yeah, we don't. It's just this writing on the wall that says weird stuff, and we don't know if Clark wrote it or not. Because it was Clark's second. He wasn't going crazy yet. He was kind of confused. He's like, man, I went in there once or twice, and it's crazy in there. Like, what the hell's going on? So he wouldn't have like.
Again, it could be the same rule as like Annihilation, when you don't realize how many days have passed. What you think is one day turns out to be 2 weeks. It's like, really? What the hell? What happened? Maybe it was the same thing. Again, unclear, because they never really delve into that as being an explanation for anything. So
yeah.
You're probably right. It's probably a film you're gonna have to watch twice, and then on the second viewing, you might notice
a couple more things. It'd be like, I have half an answer.
I'll wait until it's like probably on DVD, because even though it's not one of those films I would turn to, it's in terms of performances and visual storytelling, just the visual look of it. It's a film to keep on my rack. So I'll probably wait until it comes out on DVD and watch it again with Mum.
All right, so we're going to go to ratings now. I will give this movie a 6 out of 10. But it's kind of hard to...
You liked it more than me.
Yeah, I thought you said you disliked the movie more than you liked it. So wouldn't it be like a 4?
Well, I haven't given it a rating yet.
Okay, well, I gave it a 6 and you're like, I thought you liked it. Yeah, I thought...
Yeah, because I was going to give it a 6.
Yeah, but well, that doesn't make sense. That means you liked it more than you didn't like it. Right?
No, to me, it makes sense that you just liked it more than you liked it.
No, I liked it more than I disliked it. So I gave it I gave it a 6. That's above average. Right. Average is 5. 6 is above average. And it was kind of hard to stuff up. They did all the... It was kind of, the everything was interesting except, what we talked about. I don't want to talk about it, but I'll give it a 6 out of 10. It's execution. I was probably thinking of a 7, honestly, after yesterday. But now I'm more confused. So I'm going to give it a 6.
Well, I'm going to give it a 6 as well, even though I disliked it more than you. And that 6 just generally goes through its visual look. It does look awesome. Some of the stuff they come up with in terms of films. I like to think it's practical effects, but I feel like in some of the areas they probably use like a balloon screen environment. The performances are great, carried heavily by Chiwetel Ejiofor. Again, apologies if I butchered his name.
Chiwetel.
Unfortunately, his character gets rubbed off way too soon than it should have. And the therapist, whose name I can't remember as well, she did a fine job. I just don't think she had any real proper material to work with for the rest of the film's duration. Those are really the only 2 positives. The rest for me was just lackluster. So yeah. On that merit, I can't get anything lower because I didn't hate it. I just didn't particularly enjoy it either overall. So yeah, I'll keep it on a 6.
Okay. I'm kind of confused because you said you disliked it more than you liked it. So wouldn't that make it below average?
No, you gotta be like a really short thing to be below 5. And I probably would give them a 5 if it visually was unappealing or the performances were those 2 things get it over that hurdle.
Yeah. Yeah, again, like there's too much. It's almost like they put too much in the movie, and then we get it was a 90-minute runtime, so we didn't get all the answers. Like all the therapist trauma stuff, that wasn't really that necessary because he didn't lead to much. I get it, like
that could have been for the sequel if they ever think of one.
Yeah, but this is a movie. We need to it needs to be a fully fleshed out thing, and there's just a lot that didn't need to be there, and they could have used that extra time to tighten it up a bit. Like the therapist, we didn't really need to know, and like she just needs to be a therapist. We don't need her to have her backstory with the hands and then her trauma and her mum and and it's pointless because we didn't even get to see her photocopies of her mind in the back rooms, really. So it was just ends up being. If they did, then it would make more sense, but they didn't.
Yeah.
So her parts was kind of pointless. The kids were more pointless than I thought. The kids will have a bit more of a part. They're just there as cannon fodder.
Yeah, they were just there to die to raise the stakes, even though it didn't really add much to it.
So yeah, the writing. I just think overall the writing could have been tightened up a bit. But then fair enough. It's Kane Parsons. It's his first feature length movie. The only other thing that I believe he did was the series. So maybe that immaturity kind of came into this movie a bit, but I think it's still a very good film for your first film. Like, very good job on that.
Definitely daring and, for the most part, original until, like, the last act. And then, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that's it for today. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Cheers.